While a 79-year-old father lay on an operating table fighting for his life after emergency surgery, his daughter posted on Instagram promoting her husband's comedy special. This is not speculation. This happened on December 4th, 2024. And what unfolded in the days that followed revealed a pattern that millions are finally starting to see. This is the story of how Meghan Markle became the villain of the year, how a family relationship disintegrated so completely that a father losing his leg could not reach his daughter, and how the cracks in the Sussex brand are now impossible to ignore. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how we got here and why 2025 might be the year everything changes. Let me take you back to when things were different. When Meghan Markle had a father she openly adored. In 2013, Meghan appeared on The Craig Ferguson Show. Video footage from that interview shows her gushing about her relationship with Thomas Markle. According to royal commentators who have analyzed her early media appearances, she spoke warmly and affectionately about the man who raised her. This was not an isolated incident. Throughout her blog, The Tig, which ran from 2014 to 2017, Meghan wrote extensively about her father. Fans who have archived posts from that now-defunct website using the Wayback Machine have documented her praise for Thomas Markle. She wrote about ballet classes in Bel Air. She mentioned delis in Beverly Hills. She painted a picture of a devoted father providing his daughter with opportunities. On her Instagram account, which she maintained before joining the royal family, similar content appeared. Posts have been screenshot and preserved by media outlets, showing Meghan publicly celebrating her father's role in her life. These were not private moments. These were carefully curated public declarations of love and gratitude. Then there was the United Nations speech. In that address, Meghan told a story about her father helping her with a campaign about dish soap advertising when she was 11 years old. She framed it as a defining moment, crediting her father with supporting her early activism. But here is where the story gets complicated. Thomas Markle himself later disputed this version of events in interviews with British tabloids. According to statements he gave to outlets, including the Daily Mail, the dish soap incident was actually a class project, and the narrative had been significantly embellished. This discrepancy raises questions about how stories evolve over time and how public figures construct their origin myths. Fast forward to her interviews with People magazine after she became famous. The narrative shifted dramatically. Gone were the ballet classes and Beverly Hills delis. Instead, Meghan talked about eating at the $4.99 salad bar at Sizzler. She described a more humble upbringing, eating off a tray table at home while watching Jeopardy and reading 17 magazine. The contrast between these two versions of her childhood is stark. Media analysts and royal commentators have pointed out this pattern of evolving narratives. Fraser Nelson, a British journalist, wrote in The Spectator about what he called Meghan's flexible relationship with her own history. Other observers have noted similar inconsistencies across multiple interviews spanning years. The question many are asking is simple: which version is true? Or is the truth somewhere in between? Now let us talk about what concerns people most. What happens when Thomas Markle passes away? Will Meghan rewrite this story again? Royal commentators Kinsey Schofield and Maureen Callahan discussed this very question on Schofield's podcast, Recollections May Vary. Callahan, who is also the host of the Nerve podcast, expressed concern that Meghan might attempt to rehabilitate her relationship with her father posthumously, claiming a closeness that did not exist in his final years. This fear is not unfounded. Public figures often reframe difficult family relationships after a loved one dies, and the public has no way to verify what actually happened behind closed doors. But here is what we do know. We know that Thomas Markle has stated publicly, in multiple interviews, that his phone number has never changed. Think about that for a moment. How many people do you have in your phone from 15 years ago that you have lost touch with? Most of us have dozens, maybe hundreds. Yet Thomas Markle maintains that his daughter, with all her resources, with teams of staff and assistants, could reach him if she wanted to. She has the same number he has always had. This claim appeared in interviews Thomas gave to outlets including Good Morning Britain and various print publications throughout 2023 and 2024. If true, It suggests that the estrangement is not about logistics or lost contact information. It is about choice. Let me paint a picture of who Thomas Markle was in Meghan's life, because this context matters. Thomas Markle worked in Hollywood as a lighting director. He was Emmy Award-winning, working on shows that defined American television. According to industry records and interviews Thomas has given, he worked double shifts to afford private school tuition for his daughter. Meghan attended Immaculate Heart High School, an elite Catholic girls' school in Los Angeles. Tuition at schools like that does not come cheap. Thomas has stated in interviews that he made significant financial sacrifices to give Meghan opportunities he never had. He also used his industry connections to help launch her career. Multiple sources, including Thomas himself and Hollywood insiders who have spoken to tabloids, confirm that Thomas helped Meghan get extra roles. She appeared as an extra on General Hospital. She had a small role in an episode of Married with Children. These were not roles she auditioned for and won on her own merit as an unknown teenager. These were opportunities that came through her father's connections and generosity. Thomas Markle filmed his daughter's graduation with pride. He walked her down the aisle at her first wedding to Trevor Engelson. He was present for the milestones that mattered. And then, when it came time for the wedding that would make Meghan a duchess, he was not there. The circumstances around Thomas missing Meghan's wedding to Prince Harry remain controversial. According to reports from multiple British outlets, including The Sun and Daily Mail, Thomas Markle staged paparazzi photographs in the weeks leading up to the wedding. These photos were sold to media outlets. When the scandal broke, Thomas gave interviews explaining that he had been pressured and offered money during a vulnerable time. He described feeling trapped between his daughter's new world and his own financial struggles. He also suffered what he described as a heart attack just days before the wedding. Medical documentation mentioned in his interviews suggested he required hospitalization. Whether the stress contributed to his health crisis remains a matter of speculation, but the timing was devastating. He missed walking his daughter down the aisle. Prince Charles stepped in instead. The question that haunts this story is whether that scandal was the real breaking point or whether it simply provided a convenient excuse for a separation that was already brewing. Royal commentators have noted that Thomas does not fit the image Meghan was cultivating. Maureen Callahan, in her Nerve podcast discussions, suggested that Thomas's physical appearance became a liability. He is overweight. He has what she described as a ruddy complexion. He does not look like someone who belongs in the world Meghan was desperate to inhabit. In contrast, Meghan's mother, Doria Ragland, who is black, served a different purpose in Meghan's narrative. Doria's presence allowed Meghan to claim a biracial identity and discuss issues of race and representation, which became central to her public brand. This brings us to another uncomfortable question that royal observers have raised. Where was Doria during significant portions of Meghan's childhood? Multiple sources, including Thomas Markle in his interviews, have claimed that Doria was largely absent from Meghan's life for a period of approximately 7 to 10 years during her youth. Thomas has stated he had primary custody and was the parent who raised Meghan day to day during this time. The reasons for Doria's absence have never been publicly explained by Meghan or Doria themselves. Royal reporters have noted this gap in the narrative but have been unable to get clear answers. Some have speculated about everything from substance issues to incarceration, but no concrete evidence has emerged to support any specific theory. What is clear is that there is a chunk of Meghan's childhood that remains mysteriously unaddressed in her public storytelling. She focuses heavily on her relationship with her mother now, presenting Doria as a constant presence and source of strength. But if Thomas's claims are accurate, that narrative omits significant context. Critics argue that Meghan has chosen the parent who serves her narrative and discarded the one who does not fit her brand, regardless of who actually raised her and sacrificed for her success. Now fast forward to December 2024, and you will see why this story reached a breaking point. British journalist Dan Wootton broke news on X, formerly known as Twitter, on December 5th. He reported that Thomas Markle had undergone major surgery in the Philippines, where he had relocated in recent years. The surgery was described as serious and emergency in nature. Wootton, a controversial but well-connected royal commentator, stated that Thomas was in a vulnerable condition and facing a difficult recovery. Then came reports about an amputation. Multiple outlets, including those that have followed the Markle family saga closely, reported that Thomas had lost a leg due to health complications. The details were grim: a 79-year-old man, living far from his homeland, dealing with a life-altering medical crisis alone. And on that same day, December 4th, what did Meghan Markle do? She posted on Instagram. The post promoted a new comedy special featuring her husband, Prince Harry. It was timed to coincide with the special's release on a streaming platform. The optics were catastrophic. While her father was undergoing emergency surgery, Meghan was on social media acting as a cheerleader for her husband's entertainment project. Now, defenders of Meghan have argued that she may not have known about the surgery at that exact moment. Dan Wootton's report came on December 5th, and it is possible Meghan learned about it after she made the Instagram post. But here is the problem. In the days that followed, there was no public acknowledgement, no statement of concern, no indication that Meghan had reached out privately. Thomas Markle's other daughter, Samantha Markle, released a public statement according to reports from The Sunday. She stated that her father would require extensive care and that the family was rallying around him. She did not mention Meghan being in contact. Royal commentator Kinsey Schofield addressed this on her podcast. She stated her belief, based on the pattern of behavior and lack of evidence to the contrary, that Meghan Markle has not sincerely reached out to her father. She called the timing of the Instagram post a perfect encapsulation of Meghan's priorities. Maureen Callahan agreed, noting that Meghan could easily find Thomas's contact information if she wanted to. His phone number has not changed. If she wanted to reach him, she could. The silence speaks volumes. This incident became a flashpoint because it confirmed what critics have been saying for years. When forced to choose between family and public image, between genuine compassion and strategic positioning, Meghan chooses her brand every single time, and the public is noticing. Let us talk about how Meghan Markle officially became the villain of 2024. Kitson, a trendy boutique on Robertson Boulevard in Los Angeles, made headlines with their Christmas window display. The store has a history of making bold statements. Years ago, during the height of the Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Angelina Jolie triangle, Kitson released Team Angelina and Team Jennifer t-shirts that became cultural phenomena. Paparazzi camped outside. Celebrities made strategic shopping trips to be photographed with their chosen team's merchandise. Kitson was once the epicenter of early 2000s celebrity culture. The store may not be as culturally dominant as it once was, but its December 2024 window display captured attention. Kitson created a gallery of what they called holiday hypocrites. The display labeled certain public figures as villains of the year. Featured prominently was Meghan Markle, described as a Montecito diva. She was joined by other controversial figures, including California Governor Gavin Newsom, actor George Clooney, and singer Katy Perry. For Meghan, this must sting in a particular way. Royal commentators noted that Kitson represents exactly the kind of Los Angeles fame Meghan craved before she became a duchess. This was the store where reality television stars and aspiring actresses would arrange to be photographed. This was where Tori Spelling and Paris Hilton made appearances. This was the world Meghan wanted to penetrate when she was an unknown actress going to auditions and hoping for her big break. To be rejected by that world, to be labeled a villain by the very culture she once desperately wanted to join, represents a kind of poetic justice. Kinsey Schofield laughed about this on her podcast, recalling a recent lunch at the Polo Lounge in Beverly Hills. She and Maureen Callahan joked about how basic the Polo Lounge is, yet how desperately Meghan wants to be seen there, wants to give interviews there. It is emblematic of Meghan's outdated understanding of status and relevance. The Kitson display matters because it signals something bigger. Los Angeles, the city Meghan comes from and the city where she and Harry have tried to rebuild their brand, is rejecting them. The entertainment industry that Meghan thought would welcome her with open arms after she left royal duties has largely turned its back. If you press like right now, if you remember when Meghan Markle was just an actress on a cable show and her relationship with her father seemed normal, that engagement helps this video reach more people who need to understand this story. But Meghan's problems in 2024 went far beyond a boutique window display. Let us talk about the Netflix Christmas special. This project was supposed to be Meghan's moment to show her domestic goddess credentials, to present herself as a lifestyle guru in the mold of Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow. Instead, it became another public relations disaster. The special, which featured Meghan cooking and entertaining, was released on December 4th, the same day her father was undergoing emergency surgery. While the timing may have been coincidental, it reinforced the perception that Meghan is either monumentally unlucky or profoundly tone-deaf when it comes to public relations. Reviews were brutal. Critics described the special as shallow, performative, and lacking authenticity. Meghan's attempts at relatability fell flat. Her kitchen, her ingredients, her entire aesthetic screamed wealth and privilege, which directly contradicted the accessible, down-to-earth brand she was attempting to create. Media analysts pointed out that viewers can sense when someone is performing rather than being genuine, and Meghan's performance was transparent. The Hollywood Reporter and Variety, two industry publications that matter deeply to anyone trying to build an entertainment career, were lukewarm at best in their coverage. Neither outlet championed the special as must-see television. For someone whose entire post-royal strategy has been built on becoming a major entertainment figure, this reception was devastating. But the content failures were only part of the problem. The real issue was that Meghan seemed completely unaware of how the optics would play. Releasing a vanity project about entertaining and lifestyle on the same day her estranged father was having emergency surgery created a narrative that even skilled publicists could not spin. It looked callous. It looked selfish. It looked like exactly the kind of person critics have been saying Meghan is all along. And here is the thing. This was not an isolated incident. This fits a pattern. Let us go back to March 2021. Prince Philip, Prince Harry's grandfather, was hospitalized. He was 99 years old and clearly in declining health. The entire royal family was on edge, knowing that the end might be near. And in the middle of this family crisis, what did Harry and Meghan do? They sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a bombshell interview that aired on CBS. The interview, which had been recorded weeks earlier, according to Oprah's own statements, dropped explosive allegations about the royal family. Meghan claimed that concerns had been raised about how dark their son Archie's skin might be. She discussed her mental health struggles and claimed she had been denied help. Harry spoke about feeling trapped and unsupported. The timing was brutal. Prince Philip was in the hospital. The Queen, his wife of more than 70 years, was dealing with the potential loss of her husband, and her grandson chose that moment to go on international television and attack the institution she had dedicated her entire life to serving. Oprah later addressed the timing in an interview with CBS This Morning. She confirmed that the interview had been recorded before Philip's hospitalization, but the decision to air it while he was in the hospital was made by the network and by Harry and Meghan's team. They could have delayed it. They could have shown sensitivity to the moment. They chose not to. Prince Philip died on April 9, 2021, just weeks after the interview aired. The interview became part of his final chapter, a painful addition to the end of his life. The Queen had to navigate both public grief for her husband and public fallout from her grandson's accusations simultaneously. Critics argued this showed where Harry's true loyalties lay. When forced to choose between his wife's desire for a platform and his family's need for privacy and respect during a health crisis, he chose his wife. Every single time. This pattern is what makes the Thomas Markle surgery incident so revealing. It is not a one-time lapse in judgment. It is who they are. Meghan and Harry have consistently shown that personal ambition and public narrative control matter more than family relationships, more than timing, more than basic human decency during times of crisis, and the world is starting to see it clearly. Let me tell you about another embarrassment from 2024 that reveals just how far their star has fallen. Prince Harry appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The appearance was meant to rehabilitate his image, to show him as funny and relatable and human. Instead, it became another example of how disconnected Harry is from what actually works in entertainment. Royal commentators noted that the interview felt forced. Harry's attempts at humor landed awkwardly. His discussion of his strained relationship with the royal family came across as bitter rather than liberated. Stephen Colbert, typically a skilled interviewer who can make guests shine, seemed unable to find chemistry with Harry. The segment felt long and uncomfortable. But the Late Show appearance was just one stop on what appears to be Harry's new career path. He is becoming a paid speaker for corporate events and mid-level conferences. According to reports from entertainment industry insiders, Harry earned $300,000 for one recent speaking engagement. That sounds impressive until you break down the reality. Maureen Callahan analyzed this on the Nerve podcast. She pointed out that $300,000 is gross income, not net. After taxes, which in California can take nearly half, Harry is left with roughly $150,000. Then he has to pay his agents, his managers, his lawyers, all of whom take their cuts for negotiating and facilitating these deals. Callahan estimated Harry probably nets between $125,000 and $150,000 per speech. That is still significant money, but it is not sustaining a lavish Montecito lifestyle significant money, and it requires constant travel, constant performances, and constant availability for events that are, frankly, not particularly prestigious. Harry appeared in Toronto the day before his Colbert appearance. He spoke at a real estate conference at a Hilton hotel. According to attendees who spoke to media outlets, Harry was difficult during the event. He would not allow photos or video. He talked about his mother's death and about how difficult it was growing up in the royal family. It was the same material he always uses, repackaged for a different audience. This is apparently his future. The paid speaking circuit, mid-level Hiltons 20 minutes from airports, presidential suites that are still just hotel rooms, corporate morale boosters where companies pay him to appear and give their employees a celebrity sighting. It is a grim trajectory for someone who was once fifth in line to the British throne. Critics have pointed out that Harry only has two topics he ever discusses: his mother's death and his troubled relationship with his family. He is now 40 years old. Princess Diana died in 1997, nearly 3 decades ago. Harry has not integrated this loss in a healthy way and moved forward with his life. Instead, he has built his entire identity around being the traumatized son of Diana, and Meghan has encouraged this. Royal biographers and commentators have noted that Meghan seems to be, as Maureen Callahan put it, metaphorically skinning Diana's carcass and wearing it around town. Meghan's fashion choices often echo Diana's most iconic looks. Her body language in photos mimics Diana's. Her public statements about media intrusion and lack of support deliberately parallel Diana's experiences. It is, as many observers have noted, deeply creepy. A Harper's Bazaar photoshoot featuring Meghan drew particular criticism for its overt Diana cosplay. The styling, the poses, the overall aesthetic were so clearly referencing Diana that it felt less like homage and more like appropriation. For a woman who never met Diana, who has no personal connection to her beyond marrying her son, the constant invocation of Diana feels calculated and exploitative. Now, subscribe to this channel if you want to follow this story as it continues to develop, because new information is emerging constantly and we will break it down for you as it happens. Let us talk about why 2025 might be the year everything changes for Harry and Meghan. There is an astrological angle that has been circulating in social media commentary. 2025 is the year of the snake in the Chinese zodiac. The symbolism is about shedding, about releasing what no longer serves you. Some observers have joked that perhaps this is the year the public collectively sheds Meghan Markle, closing out an era of giving her the benefit of the doubt. 2026, by contrast, is the year of the horse, which supposedly brings strong forward momentum energy. The implication is that by purging what holds us back in 2025, we clear the path for progress in 2026. Whether you believe in astrology or not, the metaphor resonates. Meghan's timing has been catastrophically bad. The universe, or karma, or simple cause and effect, seems to be delivering consequences. The pattern of behavior that critics have pointed out for years is now undeniable to mainstream audiences. The Thomas Markle surgery incident was not an aberration. It was confirmation. Many people have difficult relationships with their parents. Family estrangement is not uncommon, and sometimes it is necessary and healthy. But there is a difference between setting boundaries with a toxic family member and completely cutting off a parent who sacrificed everything for you, especially when that parent is elderly, ill, and alone. The court of public opinion is rendering its verdict, and Meghan is losing. Polling data from organizations that track public sentiment about the royal family shows that Meghan's favorability ratings have cratered. In the United Kingdom, she is deeply unpopular. But increasingly, American audiences are also turning against her. The initial sympathy she received after the Oprah interview has evaporated as people watch her actions over time. Harry's ratings have followed a similar trajectory. Americans initially felt protective of him, viewing him as the spare who was trapped by an archaic system. But as his choices have become clearer, as his repeated attacks on his family have continued even after his grandmother, the Queen, died, public patience has worn thin. The entertainment industry, which Meghan and Harry bet their entire post-royal future on, has not embraced them the way they expected. The multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify sounded impressive when they were announced, but the actual content produced has been lackluster. Spotify canceled their podcast deal early, reportedly frustrated with the lack of output and the quality of what was delivered. Netflix continues to work with them, but the projects have not been hits. Hollywood is a business. If Harry and Meghan could deliver ratings and revenue, the industry would overlook their personal baggage. But they have not delivered. Their content performs adequately, but not spectacularly. They are not worth the controversy they bring. And in Hollywood, if you are not worth the trouble, you get quietly phased out. This brings us to the fundamental question: what did Meghan and Harry actually want, and have they achieved it? When they stepped back from royal duties in January 2020, they cited a desire for privacy, financial independence, and freedom from media intrusion. They wanted to live their lives on their own terms, raise their children away from royal protocols, and build careers based on their own merit. But every action they have taken since contradicts those stated goals. They signed deals that required them to share intimate details of their royal life. They gave interviews where they aired private family grievances. They produced documentaries that invaded their own privacy for content. They courted media attention constantly while simultaneously complaining about media attention. They wanted to be financially independent, but their only marketable asset is their royal connection. Every project, every speech, every appearance trades on Harry being a prince and Meghan being a duchess. They leveraged the very system they claimed to want freedom from. They wanted privacy for their children, but they have released photos, discussed them in interviews, and used them as content for their Netflix projects. Archie and Lilibet are being raised in the spotlight their parents supposedly wanted to avoid. The contradictions are glaring, and the public is not stupid. People can see that Harry and Meghan want the benefits of royal status without any of the responsibilities or constraints. They want the prestige without the duty. They want the platform without the accountability. Royal historians have pointed out that this approach was never going to work. The monarchy survives because it represents something larger than individual personalities. It is about service, duty, and putting the institution above personal desires. Harry and Meghan wanted to flip that model. They wanted to put themselves first while still claiming royal credibility. King Charles has reportedly made it clear that this middle ground does not exist. You are either in or you are out. You either serve the crown and accept the limitations that come with that role, or you leave and build a completely independent life. You cannot have it both ways. Harry and Meghan chose to leave, but they have not actually built an independent life. They are still parasitically attached to the royal family through constant references, through trading on their titles, through making the royal family the center of their content and their brand. This is why they are failing. They are trying to exist in a space that cannot sustain them. The royal family will not take them back, and the entertainment industry does not need them badly enough to overlook their baggage. Now, leave a comment with your thoughts. Do you think reconciliation is still possible between Meghan and her father, between Harry and his family? Or has too much damage been done? Your comments help this video reach more people, so share your perspective below. Let me tell you about some of the worst moments of 2024 that crystallized public opinion about this couple. There was the twerking video. In what was supposed to be a fun, relatable moment, Meghan posted video of herself dancing at a party, but something about it felt off. Social media commentary pointed out that her visible pregnant belly looked strange, almost artificial. Critics compared it to a pillow rather than an actual pregnancy. This reignited old conspiracy theories about whether Meghan actually carried her children or used a surrogate, conspiracy theories that have never been definitively proven but that refuse to die because of odd moments like this. Then there was the 40 by 40 initiative. On her 40th birthday, Meghan launched a campaign encouraging people to donate 40 minutes of mentorship to women re-entering the workforce. It was promoted with a video featuring actress Melissa McCarthy on a video call with Meghan. In the background, visible through a window, Prince Harry could be seen juggling. The bit was supposed to be whimsical and funny. Instead, it came across as juvenile and desperate. Royal commentators cringed watching a prince juggle like a court jester while his wife attempted to launch a campaign that quickly fizzled and was never mentioned again. These moments recall an earlier humiliation on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Meghan appeared on Ellen in November 2021. During the segment, Ellen convinced Meghan to participate in hidden camera pranks outside the studio. Meghan squatted in front of vendors, ate snacks like a chipmunk, and drank from a baby bottle. All of this while she was still trading on her Duchess title and while her husband still maintained he was a working royal. The optics were staggering. This was a woman who had just months earlier been complaining in the Oprah interview about how difficult and restricting royal life had been. And here she was, debasing herself for comedy bits on a talk show. Critics pointed out that this was not the behavior of someone who took themselves or their position seriously. It also revealed something about Meghan's judgment. She thought these appearances would make her seem fun and relatable. Instead, they made her seem desperate for attention and willing to humiliate herself to get it. Compare this to how actual working royals behave. You will never see Catherine, Princess of Wales, squatting in the street with a baby bottle for laughs on television. You will never see working royals juggling in the background of their spouse's work calls. There is a dignity and decorum to royal life that Harry and Meghan seem fundamentally unable or unwilling to maintain. Royal commentators have suggested that if Harry and Meghan were serious about rehabilitation, they would take a page from other celebrities who have successfully recovered from public relations disasters. After the movie Giggly bombed catastrophically, Ben Affleck appeared on Saturday Night Live and made fun of himself. He showed he could laugh at his own failures, and the public forgave him. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, despite their own recent controversies, have mastered the art of self-deprecating humor that endears them to audiences. Maureen Callahan suggested on her podcast that Meghan's team should have called Meghan Kelly after Kelly did a comedy sketch about someone named Meghan with a Y. The suggestion was that Meghan Markle could have appeared in a follow-up sketch, playing an annoying neighbor and making fun of herself. It would have shown self-awareness and humor. It might have softened public perception. But Meghan cannot do this because, as critics point out, she is not smart enough and she does not have a sense of humor about herself. You cannot be funny if you cannot laugh at yourself. And both Harry and Meghan take themselves far too seriously to ever truly embrace self-deprecating humor. This inability to be genuine, to be funny, to connect with ordinary people is why their entertainment projects keep failing. Netflix and Spotify signed them expecting star power. What they got were two people who are profoundly unrelatable and who insist on presenting themselves as victims while living in a $14 million mansion in one of the wealthiest zip codes in America. The disconnect is so vast that no amount of public relations can bridge it, and the industry is starting to realize that these two are not worth the investment. Let us talk about what comes next. Because the trajectory is now clear. Harry will continue doing paid speaking engagements at corporate events. He will travel to mid-tier cities, stay in nice but not exceptional hotels, and deliver speeches about mental health and his mother's death to audiences who are there because their companies paid for a celebrity appearance. It is a living, but it is a far cry from the global influence and platform he once had as a senior working royal. Meghan will continue attempting to launch lifestyle and entertainment projects. She will try to position herself as a guru, an influencer, someone whose taste and opinions matter. But without authentic expertise or genuine connection with audiences, these projects will continue to underperform. She will get deals based on her name recognition, but the actual products and content will not resonate. Their children, Archie and Lilibet, will grow up in this strange limbo. They have royal titles that mean nothing in their daily lives in California. They will be raised knowing they are connected to one of the most famous families in the world, but that their father has burned bridges with that family. The psychological impact of this situation is something only time will reveal. The relationship between Harry and his brother William appears irreparably broken. Multiple royal biographers and insiders have stated that William will never forgive Harry for the public attacks on Catherine and the royal family. When William becomes king, it is hard to imagine a scenario where Harry and Meghan have any role in royal life. King Charles has shown more willingness to keep the door open, but even his patience appears to be running out. Reports from royal correspondents suggest that Charles has made it clear he will not fund Harry and Meghan's lifestyle or security while they continue to attack the family publicly. The financial support that Harry expected would continue has been cut off. This leaves Harry and Meghan in an increasingly precarious position. They have burned bridges with the royal family. They have failed to establish themselves as major entertainment figures. Their public image has cratered. They have no clear path forward that maintains the lifestyle and status they clearly crave. Some observers predict an eventual divorce, though others argue that Meghan and Harry need each other too much for that to happen. Harry gives Meghan royal credibility and access to a story that keeps her relevant. Meghan gives Harry someone who reinforces his victimhood narrative and tells him he was right to leave. They are locked in a codependent relationship that may be toxic, but that serves both their needs. What is clear is that the golden future they imagined when they left royal life in 2020 has not materialized. They thought they would be embraced as heroes, celebrated for breaking free from an oppressive system. Instead, they are increasingly seen as entitled, hypocritical, and destructive. The Thomas Markle surgery incident became a defining moment because it confirmed everything critics had been saying. Character is destiny, as the old saying goes. And the character that Harry and Meghan have revealed through their choices is not one that inspires sympathy or support. A 79-year-old father lost his leg and could not reach his daughter. A 99-year-old grandfather died while his grandson was attacking the family on international television. These are the moments that define who someone really is. And Harry and Meghan have shown us who they are over and over again. Now here is what you need to know as this story continues to unfold. The next 12 months will be critical. 2025 will reveal whether Harry and Meghan can course correct or whether they will continue their downward spiral. Major contracts will be up for renewal. Projects will either succeed or fail. Public opinion will either soften or harden further. Watch for how they handle the next family crisis. Will they show compassion and restraint, or will they find a way to make it about themselves? Watch for whether they can produce content that actually connects with audiences, or whether everything continues to feel performative and hollow. Watch for signs of strain in their marriage, because the pressure they are under is immense, and there are already rumors of discord. King Charles's coronation happened without Harry playing any significant role. Future royal events will similarly marginalize them unless something dramatic changes. They are on the outside now, and getting back in would require a level of humility and accountability that neither Harry nor Meghan has ever demonstrated. The public mood has shifted. The sympathy that existed in 2020 and 2021 has evaporated. People have watched the pattern of behavior long enough to draw conclusions, and those conclusions are not favorable. Organizations like Kitson, which put Meghan in their Villain of the Year display, are reading the room correctly. The tide has turned. Being associated with Harry and Meghan is no longer aspirational. It is toxic. This is the story of two people who had every advantage, every opportunity, and they squandered it through bad judgment, selfishness, and an inability to see beyond their own grievances. They were handed a platform that billions of people would have cherished, and they threw it away because it came with responsibilities they were unwilling to accept. They wanted freedom without consequences. They wanted status without duty. They wanted wealth without work. They wanted sympathy without accountability. And the world is finally saying no. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel to stay updated as this story continues to develop. New revelations are emerging constantly. The situation is fluid, and we will be here to break down every development, every misstep, every consequence as Harry and Meghan navigate the future they have created for themselves. Because here is the truth that no public relations campaign can change. Actions have consequences. Patterns reveal character. And the pattern we have seen from Harry and Meghan over the past 5 years has been consistent. When forced to choose between family and fame, between compassion and content, between doing the right thing and protecting their brand, they choose themselves. Every single time. A father lost his leg and his daughter promoted her husband's comedy show. That one day encapsulates everything you need to understand about who these people really are. And millions of people around the world are finally seeing it clearly. The year 2024 was bad for Harry and Meghan. They lost contracts. They lost public support. They lost credibility. They lost any realistic chance of a Hollywood comeback. But 2025 might be even worse, because now the illusions are gone. The excuses have run out. The public has made up its mind. This is not about one bad decision or one poorly timed Instagram post. This is about character. This is about priorities. This is about who someone is when the cameras are off and the real tests of humanity emerge. And Harry and Meghan have failed those tests repeatedly. So as you watch this story unfold in the coming months, remember what you have learned here today. Remember the pattern. Remember the choices. Remember that character is destiny, and destiny has a way of catching up with all of us eventually. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who needs to understand the truth about Harry and Meghan. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and remember that the truth always comes out eventually. Always.